dear friends. It's such a pleasure to be with you again. I hope you are all healthy and happy, and there is no concern among all of you. This is our fourth story that tonight I'm going to share with you. And in a way, it is in continuation with the previous ones. Those that they have heard it, they can understand better. In all arts, whether you are a musician or you are a poet or you are a writer, the most important challenge at the beginning is to have an idea in your head, and you want to have a message, you want to say something, and based on that, you think, and you find the way, you find the words, you find it, how you want to express your feeling. And when you achieve that, your work is done. You express it, and the music is there, or your poem is written. Architecture is a bit different. Architecture, 50% of that happens in the architect, in your imagination and whatever you are doing. But then, from the time that you have completely shaped your idea in your mind, and even you have prepared your drawings and everything, till the time that comes to fruition and it's visible by other people, it's long way to go. In fact, on the way of execution of your work, building of what you have in your mind, lots of things can happen. Hundreds and hundreds of people, in my case, with the Temple of India, almost 800 people have been involved. And they were in different stages of this work. They have been working. These people have no relation with each other. They have no relation with me. Imagine out of these really 800 the 800 that I refer to are the workers, are the people outside of the team of the design, outside of my area. They are the people that I have never seen in my life, or they are speaking in the language that I do not understand a word of it. In this project, we had more than 10 languages spoken at the temple, and hardly those people could understand each other even. That's the reason. So you can imagine that what a big challenge is, that you want to bring something, you want to develop it that way. I'm not sure if I told you that story or not. The first time that I had the concept of the lotus, and I went back to Iran from India, I had one professor, Professor Nader Ardalan, who was the professor of Harvard University, and even now he's teaching in Harvard. He came to Iran for a short while, and I was honored that I was one of two students that graduated by him, and he was my direct professor in final. So I loved him very much. He was a very, very distinguished man, one of the best architects I have ever known, and I have learned a lot from him, because later on I worked for quite some time. I worked with him. We had a team of, we called it Mandala collaborators, and we had a team in Iran. But eventually he left Iran because of the situation, and came back to United States. Now he's teaching in Harvard. So when I had this concept of lotus, I was very worried, because normally architects, they don't build something that looks like something else. You don't do that. You are designing a building. You never build a building that looks like a flower. I don't know. Some of the Arab sheikhs, sometimes they ask that they want to build a house that looks like aeroplane, but it's not architecture. It's just something like that. So I was very, really concerned that maybe what I am thinking, it will become at the end not acceptable by distinguished architects, because they think that, you know, you are mimicking from nature, and that's not ever done in the world architecture. Because I had such a respect for him, when I went back to Iran, I called him. I called him and told him that I want to meet him. He said, of course, come. It was a weekend, and I went to his home very early morning. He said, come, we will have breakfast together. So I went there to his house, and I mentioned everything. I told him that here, this is a Baha'i temple. He is not a Baha'i. So I told him that this is a concept Baha'i temple. What is the Baha'i temple? It should welcome everybody from all over the world. It should be in the name of the Lord of religions, as Baha'u'llah says in Kitab Aqdas. He says, built a building in the most beautiful way that is achievable, and in the name of the Lord of the religions. Not in my name, not in the name of your God or whatever, in the name of the Lord of the religions. باسم مالك الأديان بأحسن ما يمكن في الإمكان باسم مالك الأديان. This is the exact sentence from Aqdas. That means the most beautiful way that is possible, and in the name of the Lord of the religions. So I told him, this is what I want to do, and I've gone to India and I've searched, and I've come with this concept of the lotus. Dr. Ardalan had a tremendous knowledge about India, and he was a friend of Dr. Shayegan, very famous Dariush Shayegan, is one of the most outstanding philosophers of Iran, knowing almost everything about symbolism. His books about architecture of Iran, and they are all masterpieces. And Dr. Ardalan himself has written a book called Sense of Unity, that is one of the best books about Islamic architecture, and is published by Harvard University. So he listened to me, and he taught, and then he told me that, you know, this idea is so strong, you cannot escape from him. No matter what you do, you will be stuck with it. You cannot do it. You cannot escape from it. But it's like, maybe you have read the book of Somerset Maugham, L'Abeille Tigre, the edge of the blade. I don't know if this is exact translation, the edge of the blade. And he said, it's like walking on the razor blade. It is very, very difficult. 99.9% it will cut and will really destroy you. 1.1%, if you achieve it, it's a miracle. Then it will be something extraordinary if you do it. But knowing you are going to go after it. You will see. Go. Anyhow, then I thought, okay, if Nader Ardalan doesn't tell me that it's idiotic, it's good. The other architects, because I wanted to, I knew that the Baha'is, they love anything in the name of Baha'u'llah. We love everything, anything. We say anything in the name of Baha'u'llah, even if it's I remember the house of Babiyeh, that was the most beautiful, beloved spot that I remember in my life in city of Mashhad, is the house made by clay mud and by mud bricks, and it's a place where Quddus and Mullah Hussein lived in that place together. It's just a small courtyard. One side is Quddus room, one side is Mullah Hussein place, and under the basement some of the martyrs of Fort Tabarsi are buried. All of my childhood I used to go there for prayer, and we loved it. It was so, but it was just nothing. It was just a simple, and for me, it was a beautiful palace. But this is not so for non-Baha'is. They have to see something that it communicate to them. So that's why I wanted opinion of a professional. Anyhow, this was not at all in my notes. So sorry, I went out of my line. Anyhow, then, okay, now I have gone and I went to England. This was before revolution of Iran, about 2 years before revolution. I left my job in Marble Palace. That was, I told you, we were building one of the largest cultural centers of Iran in the Royal Palace. And now that museum, that was supposed to be cultural center, now it's Quran Museum. It's it's the house of Khamenei, the Ayatollah. At the moment, his office and everything, they are living there. But at that time, it was a magnificent place. Anyhow, I resigned. I say goodbye, as I had promised, to the House of Justice, and I went to England. And in London, we had an office together with my structural engineer, Dr. Flint. Dr. Flint is a very distinguished British British engineer, structural engineer. He has done National Theatre of London, some of the bridges of River Thames, and also he has built the Panama Temple, structure of the Panama Temple. Peter Tillotson is the architect of that building. I have met him. He's a wonderful man. He passed away, but he was not a Baha'i. Dr. Flint, also not a Baha'i, but so I knew him from that relation. Anyhow, we together we rented an office in London, and we were working on that. It took 18 months for us, 18 months to complete the working drawings in London. And okay, it was we worked day and night with a very small team of about 3-4 friends. We worked together there, and I finished the drawings, and now many of my architect friends, some of the very distinguished British architects and engineers, they would come to the office to see what we are doing, and they would say, all of them, without any exception, looking at this crazy design, they would say that, this building is very, very, very difficult and expensive to build in London, in England, with all of the technology. But in India, forget about it. It's crazy. It's impossible to build this in India. That's what they were telling me. So it was not very promising and encouraging. But we had done it. It was approved by the House of Justice, and we should go there. We should have done that. But for me, this was my dream. This was the best that I could have, because Baha'u'llah says you should do your best. And I can really, one thing that I'm sure at the presence of Baha'u'llah is that I did my best. I could not do better. I could not do anything that I didn't do. So we are ready. We want to do that. And then I decided that, as I had promised to the House of Justice, I will go to India and I will be there and watch everything and see the progress. One on the way, I went to Haifa for consultation and report to the House of Justice. And I had one evening, we had honor to have dinner with Amatul Bahar Ruhi Khanum in Master's house. And she asked me, what is your program? What are you doing? I said, I'm going to take my family and we go to England, to India. Khanum was very, very blunt and very frank. And she had a wonderful relation with me because I was a little more blunt and more frank. But that is why she always told all the friends in Haifa, she would tell Mr. Nakhjavani that the only one that tells me the truth is Fariboz. All of you tell me, give me compliment. You want to make me happy. Faribos, tell me the truth. Anyhow, so he said me, what do you want? I said, I'm going to India. She looked at me and said, only a man can be so ignorant. At this season, month of May, June, you want to go take your children and go to India? Are you crazy? I said that. I said, Khanum, we are supposed to go there. She said, no, you don't understand. When you open the door of airplane in that month, it is as if you have opened the door of oven. I know that you never cooked anyhow. You don't know the heat of oven, she said. But that is it. Don't do that. Your children will die. Let them be in their home at that time in England, and you go there and settle yourself and all of this, and then after September, go to India. Go, take the children. I said, okay. I listened to Khanum, and I went to India myself and tried to find a furnished house till my wife comes, because she should see, we have to see the things together. Anyhow, I found a rented house and a furnished house, and I rented it for some time. And then I started to realize, my God, what we have done. India is not an ordinary place. Most of the countries of the world are like each other. You know, if you go to Canada, United States, they are same. England, United States, Canada, it's same, more or less. You go to Europe, it's same. India, it's not same at all. It's not same. Everything is so much thicker and more colorful and more fragrant and smelly and all of that. You can't imagine the things. And you go at in the month of April, it's so hot that you want to die. Your eyes want to come out. It's sometimes it reaches to 50 degrees, 50 degrees centigrade, and then suddenly in the month of May, June, I saw a dear friend of mine, Dr. Farley, is on the line. He has been in India for quite some time. Of course, because he was working for United Nations, for WHO, he had a much better life condition. But for the India and Indians and the people that they lived in that condition, and they wanted especially to live there as a tourist, you go to India, I tell you, never go in month of April. But if you went there, forget about working, because to do work in India at that heat is something that you will pay the penalty till end of your life. Anyhow, so then in the month of June, suddenly ocean comes upside down. Suddenly it becomes so hot, so humid that Sonabat is a heaven to compare with that. You don't know whether water goes from bottom to top or from top to bottom. It's ocean upside down. And really, when I saw it for the first time, the monsoon in India, I was scared. I opened the window and then closed and went inside my room and didn't come out for about 1 hour, because I couldn't believe that what should I do? This is the rain there. And then the season comes. As the rain comes, then insects suddenly come out in billions. You don't know what they're doing. So one day is the fly day. So you see suddenly you come and you see everywhere is millions of flies. And then next day is ants. Ants, they come out in masses. And then, believe me, one day I saw something that I could not believe in my eyes. I saw a huge carpet, brown carpet, is moving at the temple site. I said, my God, what is this? It's moving on the floor. Then I went close. These are centipedes. There are millions of them all together. They are going for picnic. I don't know where they are going. We had to put petrol and burn them, because they're not 1 or 2 or 3 like this. And then they come cockroaches. And then it comes, oh my God. So all of this catastrophe at the beginning, and I have to now work at this site, and people, we are supposed to clear the bushes and on the ground, and we collected 25 kilogram of snake eggs. Can you believe it? Snake eggs. Because they were all rocks, and all of these snakes, they are living there. Now you want to clear it, it's really a nightmare. And especially don't forget that you are in India and you cannot kill anything. Now you would say, I don't like anything alive in my room other than human beings. And then there you cannot touch them. There was a cobra at the site that had killed a car. We saw a dead car at the site. And they told me that the cobra had bited. So we want to, the people, they say cobra is holy and all of that, and labels, they put milk for the cobra, and oh my God, it's finally, my talk in Persian is on Sundays, and in that we have one Mr. Sabari that comes from Australia, listens to that. Mr. Sabari was responsible to take care of that snake at night before anybody sees it, because if the laborers know that we have killed the cobra, they would kill us. But we have no choice. This cobra kills people. It's not something, anyhow. Now with these conditions, now this is my first reaction about what I have seen in India. And then now my children and my wife came. I was hopeful that every day you think that this is the hottest that is possible. It cannot go hotter than this. Next day is 5 degrees hotter. So then this is end of it. You cannot do anymore. Next day is 3 degrees hotter. And then it goes on and on. And at night you think now it's cold. At night, sometimes in California, for example, we have heat. And then at night it becomes cool. No, at night it becomes hotter. And my God, and the children wake up at 10 times a day, electricity goes. Then the government announces that you cannot put air condition on. Thank you very much. I mean, why I have a condition if I cannot put it on? Now you have to, and these children, they wake up at night, they cry, they cannot sleep. They are wet like that. Me and my wife, we had to sit on their head and with a hand fan them so that they don't wake up, because if they wake up, we are dead. Anyhow, this story, now it goes on, and then now because I'm architect, I am a designer, I didn't want to deal with labor and workers and construction, these kind of things. I had brought an engineer, Mr. Watson, a British engineer, about 55 years old, one of the most distinguished, famous project managers in the world. He has been in all of the Arabian countries, in the Gulf, in this, has made hotels and this and that. Now he has come there to work. But from every day, he's so upset, so angry with everything, with God, and then with all of us, that what we are going to do. He says, he said, Mr. Sahba, you want to build the temple with monkeys? These are monkeys. I said, don't say this, be careful, they'll listen to you. He said, no, they're not, they don't know anything about work. They are not workers, they're farmers, they don't know anything. The tools, my God, these tools are joke. I showed you, let me go to share my screen with you, and then I hope it will share a screen. Is this, no? What I have, I don't know what I'm showing to you, but let me see. Do you see my screen?
Yes, that's the correct screen.
Okay, all right. So now I go to full screen. Okay, now you see, now we are going, these are the tools that the workers, they want to work with that. These are the type of tools we want to use. And then, my God, how you can use these Imagine we want to have, the building is curved, and so you cannot build a building that is curved. You cannot show any dimension on the drawings. The building that is like this, you have to go, we have 40,000 coordinates, 40,000 points of the building. It's X, Y, Z. You have to show them in a space. X, Y, Z, those of you who have studied mathematics, you know that what is X, Y, Z in but to establish X, Y, Z in a space with that, with this kind of plumb and this kind of gunya and level, and it's unheard. I mean, this fellow was telling me that my engineer, Mr. Watson, was telling me that we are crazy and these are my workers. Imagine these are the workers. They have to, you want to tell them that 1 millimeter, we need 1 millimeter. They don't know what is one, they don't measure with tape. They measure with, they say this much, yeah, how you want to work with them. Anyhow, then you couldn't import any material from abroad. So this is, we are excavating tons and tons of rock by hand. They are breaking it by hand. Then one by one, they put the stone on the trucks, and look at the trucks. By the way, at the back of any truck in India, there is a lotus. Do you see here? This is lotus. Always. That is, the lotus is on every truck in India. So look at that. And then my workers are not building workers. They are family, 4 generations. Daughter, granddaughter, mother, and grandmother. Here we have at the temple site with 800 people, we have all sorts of events. This is a wedding between the workers, I don't know. One day I was at site, I was going there, I saw one of my workers is very sad. I told him he would understand. He was a supervisor. And then I told him, Chandrasekhar, his name was Chandrasekhar. I said, Chandrasekhar, you're not happy, what's wrong? He said, my father-in-law died. I said, oh, I'm sorry. Are you going to go to your village? He said, no, he died at the temple. I said, what? Yesterday somebody died at our temple? He said, yes. I said, what did you do? Where is he? He said, we burned it. We burned him. I said, well, you cannot burn somebody at the construction site. We should call the police. So, this is India. I said, how you burn it? He said, these plywoods and wood here and there, we put it, we burn it. I said, okay, that's it. This is the way that, and now they come with children, 150 children at my site. Imagine these children at construction site, without shoes, full of nails, full of excavation, they fall, they're going to kill themselves. So, and these are my workers. These are my workers, they are working there, I just said that. But, so I had to build, I thought the only way to do it, we did it for the first time. We built a building, a small building, you see this building behind them, we built it, and the children have done painting on that. And we made a school for these 150 children. Of course, you see, this is one class, it come from all ages. And we got a mobile crash. There is an organization that they are mostly volunteers, and also we had some Baha'i volunteers that they would come and they teach the children, but they have special books for these children because the children have not seen many of the things. If you're in school children, they are learning O for orange, because they have not seen orange. They have to say H for hammer, S for shovel, A for arrow, all sorts of only the tools, building tools that they have seen, or for the farming tools that they have seen, they teach them with that. We had this school. American ambassador and Canadian ambassador visited our school. We became famous because of this school, and we got arrangement with the government that they would recognize their education. They give them a document. So it was there. This is one of our classes. Look at that. Children have done paintings and everything on the walls, and this is their room. they seat, this class is only 10, 12 people, but then we have all sorts of classes there. And at the door of the temple, you see the building of the temple at the back. At the entrance of the temple, we had this huge sign, and that says the building under construction here. At the top, it says, "Blessed is the spot and the house and the place and the city and the heart and the mountain where mention of God has been made." It's the famous prayer of Baha'u'llah is written there. Several times I saw people were reading this, and when I passed by, they said, "What a beautiful prayer, what a beautiful prayer." It really touches the heart of Indians. And here we said about this is the building under construction is house of worship, which will provide the place of prayer and meditation to the people of all castes and religions. From within the temple, the voices of mankind will be raised in praise and glorification of the creator of the universe. So this was mentioned. It's very, very important. In India, there is no building, no temple that everybody from every caste, forget about every race, every caste, the country, there are different castes. The castes, not every caste is allowed to go to any temple. You can only go to where your own people are there. Now, this place is the only place that says it's open to all the castes. That means the laborers that are working here, they go to the same, these half-naked people, they go to the same temple, and next day, Prime Minister of India comes and sits on the same bench that they were sitting, and they say prayer. It's unheard of. This documentary on Doordarshan, the national television of India, says clearly about this. It says that, shows this and says that it shows people from all the religions, they're sitting and they're saying prayer. Muslims, they're saying namaz even, although it's not allowed to say namaz at the temple, but actually people, they come, and if somebody should come and tell them that, please, you cannot say prayer with performance, it should be just silent prayer. But people, they come and sing namaz. And Christians, Hindus, Sikhs, Jains, all of them, they come and they say prayer here. Now, because of that. So all of this was made in order that we say. Now, I gradually, after a few months of work, our Mr. Watson went to England for holiday leave and did not come back. He said, "Forget about it. I do not want to be in this building. It's so difficult with that." So I was the one that I had no choice. I said that I have to become project manager myself if I want to see this building is done. And I have to act like side by side with the contractor. In United States, if you are a registered architect in North America, Canada, United States, or England, or anywhere in Europe, the handbook of American architects and Canadian architects, they tell you that you are not allowed to give any opinion about the construction to the contractor, because then you will become responsible for that. If anything goes wrong, you are responsible. But here, sorry, my contractor says I cannot build it. I want to go home. The only way is to tell him what to do, and you have to do every single. When I was interviewed in Institute of Architects in Canada, and then they accepted my document without passing any exam to be registered architect. There, I told them that everything that you say is forbidden, I have done, because it's not possible, this building, and they realized that this is completely different thing. Anyhow, now we started, and I learned, the first thing that I learned from this attitude of Mr. Watson really was that the only way that you can work in India is that you don't see anything bad, you don't say anything wrong, because if you see bad things, you see everything is right. If you start seeing good things, then the minute you start seeing good things, you realize that these people are very noble people. They're very noble people. Did you see that workers, that women with 25 kilogram of weight on his head, on her head, is carrying that in that heat of the day, walking. We have said some of them, they walk almost 10 kilometers during a day, going back and forth to the construction site and going back. They are working on that condition, and the salary is about $2 a day of 12 hours. And yet they are happy. They go home. They start. They sit. They pray. They sit with their family. They are happy. They smile at the construction site. They are working. And just imagine, this is a day. It's called a ceremony. It's called Vishwakarma Puja. In Vishwakarma Puja, they put a platform. You see here, there is a platform. On that platform, they put all the tools that God has given them. The same tools that I showed you. All of those tools I have bought from these workers. The same tools, the same ancient tools, antique tools, nothing. They put it on this table and they pray that day, one full day. They pray and thank God for that the God has given them tools to this. This is called Vishwakarma Puja. And they come and sit, and we all sat, all of the engineers, the laborers are sitting all around and in front, and we sat there. Here is Mr. Watson. You see that? This is Mr. Watson. And next to him is the contractor, the one that I think was the cause of that strike and all of those problems that I told you. And then we went and I told you the story previously, that how we said the prayer and then we changed all of those organizations. This is the time of the trouble. Still, we had that team. And just beginning, this is Mr. Watson and this is Mr. G.B. Singh. And this is my late wife that passed away after we left Haifa. And these are some of my team, my workers, and all of the thing that we are participating in their puja, appreciating gift of God to them. Look at that. Then they go home. They see this is their lunch. It's a pot of dal. Dal is sort of I don't know what we can say in English. It says they just cook it like peas that they cook it, and with some chapati. Chapati is the bread that they themselves make it at home, put it on the fire, and they make it. And they just sit, and this is their lunchtime. They come and sit here, they are with their children. And look, they are all very happy. They say, and they are not at all, they never are, look at this woman working. That head load is 25 kilograms. It's so difficult in that heat of the day, go and come back 5 kilometers with this sari. Most of them are quite thin. They're size 0. They could be models if they had a better life. So they look at them, and this is the way that it is. Indian labor is this. The building, they're working. There is no equipment. You have to carry by your head. In United States, we have pumps, and they come, and you can put entire capacity of the concrete of the temple in one day. You can pour it. It's so fast. Here, each one of them, they have to go. And imagine in that heat, by the time they reach there, these are the laborers. They are working at site. Right at that time, Baha'is are coming and saying prayers at the construction site. These are Baha'is have come. They're saying prayer as the construction is going. You see here the laborers are working. The workers are working on the roof. This is the roof of the ancillary building. We have poured the concrete. They are working on that, and these are the people. This is Mr. Charles MacDonald. He was Secretary of the National Assembly of England for many years. He came to India, and he was a magnificent a Baha'i teacher, spent all of his life in India, and then most of his life. Then he went back to England, and he passed away. He was a wonderful friend. He was for a time also. He was working at the temple as a accountant, and a very, very magnificent Baha'i. Amatul Bahar Ruhi Khanum would come to the construction site at this time, look at this site, and it's so difficult to walk at this site. Now the laborers, they would bring we had to serve in that heat of the day. We had to serve them water. We serve them water with mixing with the black salt that is all minerals. It's a bit bitter. It's salt, and you add to the water, and we put some lemon in that, and then it's very good for dehydration. We would give them water, and they would come. The laborers, they would bring water for me with the same glass, with their own glass, and everybody has taken one bucket of water and one glass. They would go from one laborer to another laborer, and they would give it to me. I had learned that if I want to be friend of these people, I have to be like them. So I would drink it. And it's amazing that 10 years I was in India, I never got sick. I was only 1 day sick all day in that period. For 1 day, I mean, I became sometimes sick here and there, but never that way that I had to stay at home. 1 day I had fever and I could not go to work. That day, 20 people, they came from site to see me. They thought I'm dying. By the time next day when they came, I had been at site. I had recovered. For 10 years, I worked on that condition with that. And I never hesitated anything. I was working with them like that. And these workers gradually, they started liking us. I used to get them together speak in English. I spoke in English. Tell them what we are doing. We are building a temple in the name of God, in the name of their God. It's their own temple. It's not our temple. It is, they can come here and all of this, and they would listen. And gradually, and I would show them slides and film and all of that. And they were very moved. They would see that. And gradually, they became really attached to this work. And we had to, now, and I don't have time because I have only 15 minutes. I don't have time to tell you about the method of concreting that we achieved here. Imagine the whole building is wood. So now the most dangerous thing for us is fire, because this wood is formwork. We are going to pour concrete on it, and then we are going to have fire. I talked to fire brigade of Delhi. The first thing that I did was talk to them. They told me, forget about us. Don't call us. We cannot do anything because the maximum height of our jets are 9 meters. You are 30 meters up to the top of the dome. And this is all wood. By the time we reach here, it's all dead. And the length of their hose was only, they told me that it's only 50 meters. So the diameter of our building alone is 150 meters. The diameter of the site, of the construction site, is 150 meters. So we should have found our own way. That's why the first thing we built was 2 of the pools that we have around the temple. 2 of them we built. And we made them full with water. And this was, each one of them has 500,000 liters of water, 500 cubic meter. So 2 of them were full of water, and we were using that now for entire building. Of course, water itself is a problem in India. You don't know, shortage of water. It's so difficult. We have done wells and all of that. In another occasion, I will tell you, we had 8 wells tube wells and open wells and all of that we had with that. And then as we had almost 20 some fires at the temple, because constantly they are welding, they are cutting steel with torch, the shower of fire is coming down, and the floor is full of cut woods, pieces of wood. And as much we are constantly cleaning, but it never ends. And they are doing that. We had 20 some fires, I don't remember, it was 25 or 24, I don't remember exact. But we could kill the fire with our system. But as Murphy Laws says, one day that we had poured the concrete of entire central, the dome was, a huge part of that was concreted, and we were covering we had to always keep the concrete wet in that heat, because otherwise it will crack. It will not get the strength. It should be cured 24 hours for at least 7 days, non-stop. It should be always wet. So we cover the whole thing and use water. And in heat of the summer, the water had gone low, very low, and they couldn't, they could not fill it because the amount of water was not enough. And right at that time, there was a fire. Fire right from the inside. We saw at the top of the leaf that we had concreted just that day, the water is coming, and the fire is coming out. And people shouted and shouted, and people are running. In India, it's tradition that when there is a fire, laborers escape out, because they have nothing to defend themselves. They are just one shirt and one, and they are working for $2, $3 a day, and it does not justify for them to burn, because if anything happens to them, God knows what they are going to do with their family. So they escape. They go out normally. But that day, every worker was running and was fighting, and they were shouting and running to the fire. I had a very small, tiny man. He was a supervisor. I saw him running at the edge of the shells. Is going up as the edge. These are I didn't want you see. He's going. I saw that imagine that this petal is in fire, and the man is going up this ladder. Is going up to fight the fire. You cannot fight the fire from the top. You have to fight the fire from its source down. He was carrying a huge tank, heavier than himself, going up the ladder to go to the top. I was shouting, "Don't go up, don't go up, you will burn yourself, come down." He would not listen, he would not hear me because of the noise and all of that. But eventually 4 of our workers, one of them Baha'i, 3 non-Baha'is, they went inside the building into the fire, and they killed the fire with the water and the fire stopped. We had to cut the top of the one of the petals. We have cut it on the pattern that it was. Imagine on the pattern like a curve like this. We cut it and we pour the concrete again. Imagine this formwork, this situation. One night in that situation, I was walking. We were working round the clock, 24. Every of these leaves that we are concreting, every one of these white ones you see, these are concrete now. Every one it takes, with the method of concreting that later on in another event I will explain to you, it takes 48 hours to concrete. And the concreting should go continuously without stop, because if you stop, you will get a cold joint. You have to continue. So we had 2 shifts of 12 hours each. for every 24 hours. And then that means 4 shifts of 12 hours, one after another should work till the concrete is done. Now imagine, and workers are on shift of 12 hours, but I was myself should be there all that 48 hours. I would just skip into my office sometimes, sleep in my office for a couple of hours before anybody noticed. I would come out again, I would go out. I was so tired and sleepy. As I was going up the top, up of the ladder with these platforms, you imagine these platforms, we have built these platforms for people, for the laborers to stand on that and work. You will see, these are platforms that workers are standing on that. Look at these. These are the platforms. So I am going up the ladder at the edge. This is a ladder, right? You see that right at the center? It's a ladder at the cusp of the leaf. I was going up this at the height of, and I have, in fact, I have vertigo, and I cannot go up that level, up any height. But for this temple, because from the first day I used to go up, the first 2 meters I would go up, 3 meters I would go up, 4 meters, slow, gradually I could go up. Of course, we had built all of these platforms very solid and safe, because it's so dangerous when the people are working at midnight and sleepy and dehydrated, they fall down. We had all of these platforms to not to let them fall down, and we had even inside the dome, we had fishing nets that if somebody falls down, it will be caught by net, and we caught so many. And in fact, they had estimated that at least about 25 people will be killed in this building. The contractor has said, has covered itself for insurance, because this kind of workers and all of that, these workers, you look at that, they are working with just without shoes, with naked, mostly with bare feet, and sometimes only with just a slipper, nothing. And they call it chapal. They're these rubber things, they go up. And imagine how much danger, nails, things like that. We had the sort of medical center at site to immediately take care of any injury and all of that. We had some injuries by nails and others, but never serious thing. But this one is, so they were, as I was going up myself, suddenly I got dizzy, and at night, and I lost one step. My foot started. Right at that point, I saw at least, I don't know, 20 hands grabbed me, these workers. I noticed that I realized that how much they are attached, although we could not talk, we don't understand language of each other. But because they knew that I love them, I take care of them, and Baha'is, all of our Baha'is, they love them. We in the summer, in the winter, we give them, we brought them warm clothing. We had school for them. We had housing for them at the site. We built housing for them to be able to be comfortable. We took care of them in that way. They knew all of that, so they were so protective. I tell you one story and I'll finish, and that is that one night, as I was working at this site at 2 o'clock in the morning, there is, next time when I tell you about the method of concreting, that is unbelievable. It was a miracle method that we had achieved. And in fact, Cement Concrete Association of England has published a paper about it, that how this was done. This is something that it has never ever been done before or after us. It's only once it has happened here. I will tell you about that. And then because of this system, I was working at 2 o'clock at night. I'm there, and these hundreds of workers, every shift, we had to have 100 workers. Every shift of 12 hours. So when we had 48 hours, we had to have 400 workers that they are waiting online to come go after another. Now, at this crowd and noise and torch, floodlights and all of that, I was so overwhelmed with this crowd. We were working, and then we had a carpenter, Sardarji, you know the Sikh religion people, Sardarji, at site. His name was Abtar Singh. He was a wonderful man. He knew very bad, he spoke very bad English, but he could convey his things. But he was a very full of feeling and love, and we became so good friends that even for years after that, whenever I went to India, he came to the airport to receive me. And he, in an interview with a newspaper in India, he said that we and our Baha'i friends there, we work like one family. We loved each other, and we were not workers. They were not our sahib. They were not our boss. We were all like one family. This man I saw is coming. He was standing next to me, close by, and as if he wants to say something. I just asked him, Abtar Singh, do you want to say something to me? He said, yes. I said, please tell me what you want to say. He said, my mother, last night, my mother was telling me that you are building a temple in the name of God, but you are working for money. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should work free. In India, it's tradition. They work at the temples. They call it kar seva, voluntary. He said, I told my mother that I need money to take care of my children and their food and their school. But I want you to know, told me, he said, I want you to know that my contribution is that I work much harder. I was so touched, so touched. What makes you to work all day? He was a carpenter. Maybe he would get $4 a day. For $4 a day, you are working 12 hours on that heat, on that condition, but still you feel so good about what you are doing, and you are so detached, you are so noble, that you think that you are working for God, and this is it. And this idea that we are working for God had gone to all the people in that site. I show you here. You see, before we start concreting, everybody would say prayer. And we break coconut. Breaking coconut is that the devil will go out of your space. This is tradition in India. A priest would come to say prayer in Hindi. A Baha'i prayer, we would say. Muslims would say prayer in Arabic and from Quran. And Christians would say prayer. And these are the engineers. This is the manager of the regional office of our contractor. This is Mr. Ganguly that I told you last time. I showed you his picture and I said he came after we made a new demand, and they came, and he's a genius man. Today I called him because I saw these photographs and I saw his picture. I called him to Bengal. He's in Bengal, somewhere near Calcutta. I called him and I told him that I'm calling to tell you I love you. You are such a wonderful man. And he was so moved, he cried. He's very old now and he's retired. Old, I think he's about 78 now. Anyhow, this was the prayer that we would say. And look, We talked to the workers. We brought the workers there. We talked to them. We talked to them, and we told them that what they are doing, and this is before anything that everything that happens. Look at this. This is a structural. This is still a structure inside the building. All of this is welded and cut. And inside the building, you know, eventually we are building that dome, beautiful white thing. And all of this steel is there. They're cutting formwork and wood and all of that. And it's beyond imagination, the whole spirit. And these are the workers, the engineers and the supervisor, the worker supervisors. This is, here you see this man. This man is Avtar Singh, that I told you, Avtar Singh. And Mr. Ganguly should be here. This is Raju, one of the main people. Mr. Ganguly is not, I'm surprised. It seems he's not here, no. He has been somewhere working. I talk about many of these things in our future stories. Thank you so much for listening at right time, and I end it. Thank you so much.